Welcome to the Naples Money Managers News You Can Use.
Hello, everyone.
Marcus Bickle, Dawn Litchfield Brown, back in town. Actually been here for a while, but we were having little camera issues last week. So
a couple.
Yeah, so we haven't had a video for you, but here we are. So as usual, we start with a couple of pieces of news you can use, and then we'll move to markets and things like that. As a lot of people know, and I have sometimes hard time doing this, but I'm going to give some people out there some guidelines in preparation as we get older for one of our spouses dying. And there's a couple things that you really need to remember. The first thing is, anytime a registration comes in for anything you have, cars, trailers, boats, whatever you have out there, golf carts, change it so it's joint. Or your trust, but change it so it's joint. Do not let it be in any one person's name.
Yeah, very difficult to change after the fact, folks.
Then once that comes in, if something happens, you can then easily change the title to just your name and the registration.
Well, and typically speaking, like things that are in joint name tend to bypass probate.
Well, that too, yes.
Which I know in a spousal situation isn't really something you worry about, but it cleans things up. If
Yes.
it's clear, if it's already in your name jointly prior to them passing, there's no...
But what you said is it doesn't really matter. It does matter for spouses, because if it's just in one person's name, it could still have to go through probate.
That's actually a fantastic point.
Right.
Ron, absolutely.
So joint name is important on those types of things. Vehicles, boats, golf carts, whatever you have laying around. Tractors, I have a lot of those. Anyway.
And it's good. And it's good to really to do that inventory now, because it's very hard to do after the fact, because you're kind of living in the after. So those are things that if you don't have to deal with in the after are better.
And during our lives, we take it for granted.
Absolutely.
We just don't even think about it. You think about the big stuff, the estate planning and all that stuff, but you don't think about these. I always said, people get their ducks in a row, but it's really those little ducks that go all over the place that you have to worry about, because they mess everything up.
And our life is full of little ducks.
Yeah,
That's
little
true.
ducks everywhere. The other couple things were keep the cell phone on and the email address. Because if you're trying to change something, they're going to either send you an email confirmation, and if you can't get into someone's email, they're going to send you a code on the phone. So you need to keep the deceased person's email and phone open as long as possible, and if possible, any bank account. Because checks will come in made out to just one person, and you need to be able to deposit them. So if they're a joint account, it's not a problem. But if you have his account and her account, could be an issue.
That's a good point, Dawn. And something that Dawn probably didn't cover, and this is probably a less of a concern for older couples, but will become an increasing concern into my generation, is digital goods. I know that sounds crazy, but if you own, 500 movies on your Amazon Prime account that you've paid for, you don't want to lose access to that upon your spouse's passing.
So that's why you need to keep the email and the cell phone.
Exactly, folks.
Keep them operating.
It's weird to think of it in that way. I often think of it like I'm a big gamer. I own there's an online marketplace called Steam, which sells computer games, and it's all through there. And I was thinking about that. I'm like, man, I have a lot of these games. I mean, my kids probably won't even want to play them, but what would happen? There's a real value there.
Yeah. And it's something none of us want to think about.
No.
But trust me. Preparation is always much wiser.
Absolutely.
The other thing that I wanted to bring out was, I am so tired of the commercials telling you to call them to protect your deed from being stolen.
I feel like this is the 5th time you've brought this up.
It keeps coming on the TV and it's bothering me.
You can tell she's watching the same channel, folks.
Right. So I decided to go ahead and do some research on it. So I called the county and I looked at the county and I looked at the sites that are non-county sites, and it's an average of about $20 a month. And all they do is give you an alert. It's not like they lock your deed.
Yeah.
It's an alert. It's $20 a month unless you buy more than 1 year. Then it, ratchets down to maybe $17 a month.
So it's a monitoring system.
It's a monitoring system.
So it's exactly like we talked about. If you've been paying attention, folks, we've talked about this several times, and we've compared it to several different things. And one of the things that I said very early on, because we've talked about this being kind of a monitoring system, was that it functions kind of like LifeLock or any of those other online monitoring programs that you probably see ad nauseum. all they do are tell you when something's been stolen, which is, I guess, sort of useful.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop it. So if you think you have one of these monitoring programs and you're safe, you're not. You will just be told when something bad happens. They can't stop it.
Right. And we're not telling people not to have them.
No.
But for something like this where you can get the exact same thing for free. Now I'm going to go very old school here because I just thought about doing this. I'm going to hold this up in front of my face and I'm going to put it out in our year-end newsletter too. But this is, okay, I have to hold it up about this high. If you can write this number down, this email, a website address, with all those slashes. So it's, I can't read it from here.
We'll just leave it here for another second, folks.
So I think what it is FloridaClerks.com/page/property alert services. Go there. It's free. You can sign up and they'll send you any alerts. Otherwise, you're going to be paying $20 a month and you'll see this because when, hopefully you'll send this to everybody because this will come out when we put this out on our Constant Contact. And also I'm going to do a short reel on it as well.
Perfect.
But these are the things that irritate me, just.
Well, and I think this is a much wider
Doesn't take much.
conversation, folks.
It doesn't take much these days.
So much of our current economy, the so-called attention economy, as they call it, is based upon monetizing everything. So just think about this right here. So this is a service that is offered through the Clerk of Courts.
Based on fear.
Based on fear, absolutely.
Oh, not the Clerk of Courts one.
Well, no, but
yeah.
what you're afraid of is your deed being stolen. So the Clerk of Courts offers this service, but they don't advertise that very well. But on TV, they do, but it's going to cost you $20 a month. So right there, that's several things. So first off, they're charging for a service that's already free through the government. Secondly, which, think about that's already done.
To me, that's already fraudulent.
Well, TurboTax. TurboTax is a great example. The government has its own tax filing system. TurboTax will charge you to use their thing, and it's not even as good in many cases, like those third-party tax filing programs.
Well, yes, but I didn't know there was one through the government. We're going to have to talk about that because I think a ton of people will do that.
So these kind of things big businesses make a lot of money off of small purchases, and usually it's through subscriptions, like a $5 fee here, a convenience fee here, because for us, as we get busier and busier and busier and busier, as our attention is pulled in a million different directions, you want a little bit of that back. So the peace of mind that Don's talking about for these deeds,
right.
Any kind of monitoring programs, anything, like if you, beyond the scope of this conversation, because Don loves subscriptions and talking about how much we spend, but if you really think about how much everything costs you, how many little $20, for this, $20 for that, and $20 for this, and I'm paying for Microsoft 365, which is word processor, and that's $20 a month. Well, that
all adds up.
Really adds up.
Well, so remember what we used to say years ago? I would like a nickel for every McDonald's hamburger sold. That's basically what these companies are doing. They're collecting nickels.
Yeah.
And technically, that's kind of what we do with our covered calls. We collect the gamblers' nickels.
It's true. It's true. So we can pivot to the.
Well, wait, but I just want to go through how they do it. Okay, so they either forge documents by using personal information and fraudulent owner signatures with fake IDs. That's one way they do it. The other way they do it is they just assume your identity. So in some cases, they deceive the homeowner into signing the paperwork, to become a trusted friend or confidant.
I can see that one being, that one's hard to get your arms around, folks, because it's kind of like the whole Bitcoin scam. It's a trust scam.
Right, and so once the property is changed over, then they either resell it or borrow money against it.
Like a reverse mortgage kind of thing?
No, they go and say, let's say you have $300,000 equity in your home.
Right.
They borrow out 200.
Oh man, that's so great.
But even though the deed's in a different name, the loans are still in the client's name unless they left it in the client's name and just borrowed it out as the client. Okay, we're going to run out of time here. So there was the other thing I wanted to talk about is markets, but it's we're going to put out a newsletter for the year end, and what we're going to do is talking about what everybody's talking about. the late 1999 time and the dot-com bubble and why it's different or why it's not, or now we're in the same kind of bubble. I'm just going to say one thing. We are not in the same kind of bubble.
No.
There are some things, though, that are similar, and this letter will identify exactly what those things are, so and how we're protecting against them, just like we did in the year 2001 and 2.
Absolutely. And remember, folks, like what Dawn is talking about is really key, because we as people, we tend to recognize patterns. So we look at this and we're like, man, that really looks like 1999, 2000, like dot-com bubble, but it's not. History does not repeat itself, but it often rhymes. So if you see things,
I like that.
It's true. If you see things that look familiar, you're probably right. Won't be the same way, because that would be too easy,
Right.
but it's worth paying attention to.
So, are there any market comments you want to make quickly, because we're already on time?
Yeah,
here.
no, we've been talking for a while now. We had a really good day in the market yesterday. We're
And
now
a really sucky day the day before.
and now we're starting to have a sucky day too. So I think we're kind of in that mode again, where people, as we've kind of been in all year, where people are cautiously optimistic, but also waiting for that other shoe to drop. There's a lot of both good and bad news out there. There's a lot of money to be made, and that's kind of what we saw yesterday. As for our portfolios, real quick, the vast majority of our covered calls are deep in the money right now. We could sustain a significant pullback,
Okay.
and
That's a good thing for
yeah,
by the way,
like the
people.
markets could really go down,
Right.
and we would really we would look great, honestly.
Right.
Most of our calls are anywhere between $20 and $30 in the money, which is huge.
Which means that's how much protection you have.
Yeah, so if you've been watching us for a while, I apologize.
Yeah. And you're going quickly, so
but,
appreciate that.
Yeah, it's I think we're in a good position going into the fourth quarter.
And we can talk
we'll have to see.
more about that next week. I probably won't be here next week, but again, just so many things to talk about, so much time. We'd like to do it together, and I'm sorry that we didn't talk about the markets as much, but you know what? They're not as
There's not much
poignant
to
in
say
my head
now.
right now. So we are Naples Money Managers News you can use.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, money matters, but most of all, and most importantly, you matter.
Please like and subscribe. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, do that.